Hi, I'm Dave and I'm autistic. Today I'm going to talk about executive functioning. So what is executive functioning? Well, you can have lumps and gaps of neurons in any part of your brain, but you have them in particular in autism in the very front part of the brain. And the front part of the brain is dealing with things like imagination, but really critically things like emotion, judgment, planning and organizing of tasks. It's the tactical parts of your brain. So what happens when you've got some lumps or gaps in that area of the brain? Well, executive functioning is the kinds of tasks that you would need to be a successful executive, like the chair of a company. You need something like planning and prioritizing, working out what we're going to do when we're going to do it. You need to work out, you need to really tightly focused on your emotions. You can't get swayed and distracted by other things. You've got to have a really good working memory. You've got to have loads of good decision making, and you've got to be good at regulating yourself. So all those are good to be an effective politician, an effective leader. But you also need those in your working life, and you also need those to be an effective at school as well. If you have difficulties with any of these things, then you are going to have difficulties in work, school, anything like that. It can go all the way to affecting things in your daily life. Because if you look at how many tiny decisions you made to get up and get going this morning, there's 100 small decisions and 100 small tasks that you had to kind of plan, organize, structure, and get in the right order. So most people recognize most of these activities, things like getting up, getting breakfast, making your bed, maybe opening the curtains, having a shower, maybe putting some makeup on, maybe cleaning your teeth, grabbing keys, wallets, watches, phones, handbags, going to work. All of those have to be done, and they've got to be done in the right order, at the right time, and that can be a problem for autistic people. The organization of all those tiny tasks, the organization of all of those things can be an issue. So it can either be an issue in terms of like trying to face and decide all of those hundreds of tiny decisions. So you may not be able to get started in doing that. Or you may kind of work out coping mechanisms that work. So for example, my coping mechanism is that I have a routine, which is that I will get up, I will have some exercise, I will do some exercise, then I'll come and have a shower, and then I will get dressed and I will have a shave, and I will do exactly that in the same order every morning. And then I will move on to another chunk of routine, which means getting breakfast, and I will have the same thing for breakfast every morning, and I will get my stuff together, and I will get my car keys and then my wallet, my watch and everything else, and then I will go and get in the car, and then I'll go to work. And so that forms a bit of a routine for me. Most people have this to some extent, but autistic people have it a lot stronger and a lot harder than other people. They find it much more difficult to adjust their routine if something goes wrong. They find it much more difficult to have novel things. So something goes wrong or something is planned to be different, like I'm on holiday, and therefore then that throws out all of my planning. And you will find that lots of autistic people do not like any surprises, and they don't like changes to their routine. It's much easier to maintain the routine, even if it's slightly wrong, than it is to change it and to replan, reorganize, and restructure all of those tasks. So you will find this with autistic people. Many of them have little routines, and they will have other things that they will do. And that might be something simple like having the same kind of preferences for plates and cups or forks and knives, that they will prefer to eat with the same one every time. Or they will prefer to sit in the same place or sit in the same way, or even read the same book or watch the same video or anything like that. That routine can be really comforting and can be really safe. It can make you feel a lot more comfortable when doing things if it's part of that routine, if it's part of that familiar stuff. Doing new things and unfamiliar things involves maybe making a whole load of decisions and maybe making a whole load of plans, and organising all of that takes a lot of work. And that work can make it harder to adjust. Quite a lot of us do have special interests. So a special interest is where you may have a whole lump of neurons in your head and they all align with one particular area, and your brain will just love to do that area, to do that thing, to do that subject. And whatever you learn will just go straight in, no questions asked. You'll be able to remember everything about it. And you may really, really enjoy going over that area and doing stuff. So for me, computers and computer code is one of those things. So I'm absolutely fantastic. It's turned into a great career. I'm really successful at it. So it's really worked out for me. That special interest has been really, really helpful. For other people, it might be things like taking things apart, putting them back together. It can be something artistic like drawing or painting, or even music can be a very strong special interest. And it can be something technical like diagrams and structures and engineering. My daughter decided to pick up a guitar around age 15, and she started to teach herself the guitar. It clicked into a special interest, and she very quickly needed lessons. Then she needed another teacher because she'd outgrown that teacher, and she went from kind of grade 1 to grade 8 in 2 years. And that isn't some magic autism special ability. That was mainly due to sitting down, putting the work in, doing 6 hours, 7 hours of practice a day. Almost every day she would grab the guitar as soon as she got home from school and practice and practice and practice, and she would get better and better. So if you put in 6, 7, 8 hours a day practice at something every day, day in, day out, and if your brain is already wired up to remember and to learn from that area, then you can develop really quite high skill in a very short space of time. So a lot of the time, autistic special abilities is not necessarily anything magic. It's often a case of just doing the same thing over and over and being really focused on it, and also your brain being able to pick up on all the subtle details of what's going on, how things are working, how things work differently when slight changes made. And that can really make special interests a very strong and very comfortable place for your brain to go to. So only a short one today. As always, be kind, be empathetic. You don't see what's going on in people's heads. Be kind to yourself. If you like the video, let me know. Like, subscribe, put some comments in. Let me know what's good, what's bad. And thanks guys, and bye for now.